Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Evan Witt Podcast. It is Saturday, December 9th, 2017, and I am here to talk briefly about the upcoming Green Bay Packers versus Cleveland Browns game coming up on Sunday, December 10th, and also going to be discussing a topic I put out on Twitter at Evan Witt Sports to ask who, if Dom Capers is in fact let go, who would you like to see the Green Bay Packers hire to replace Dom Capers? And I did get a lot of great replies to back at that question at Evan Witt Sports. Unfortunately, a lot of people replied back, anyone not named Dom Capers, literally anyone not named Dom Capers. That's pretty much what there's a lot of the replies that I got. And those replies kind of disappoint me for the fact that if you want somebody let go, if you want somebody gone, have somebody in mind who you would like to replace him with. If you just throw in there anybody but, you're not really giving them much thought. So I do like some of the names that I got. I got Vic Fangio for the Chicago Bears defensive coordinator, who will likely be looking for a new job at the end of the year. I do like that option. Also was mentioned make a run at Dave Aranda. I don't know how he would do in the NFL, being that I don't think he's ever coached in the NFL before, but we'll see. I got Joe Witt Jr., so James Newton at James J. Newton wants the Packers to stay in-house. I got Rex Ryan, which I don't want Rex Ryan, period. I just think he's extremely overrated, and you look at the condition that the Jets are in, they still have not recovered from his head coaching experience while he was there. Also Chris Richard was mentioned as a possibility, another one for Fangio. And just going through my list here, there's a couple names from the New England Patriots coaching staff that was named as well. So, Fangino is probably one that I really like. Kevin Coyle is one. But yeah, Fangio is one that I really like. But here's the thing with him, Fangio. He's likely going to be on a lot of teams' short list for a head coaching option. That's why I don't think he is a legit option at all for the Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator position. I really don't think he is. And that's my biggest reason why. I think he's going to be on a lot of short lists, like I said, for an NFL head coaching gig, and I think it's long overdue for him. He's shown time and time again everywhere he's gone that he should be an NFL head coach. He's well organized. Players play to the best of their ability with him. And as a head coach, I think he would be very good either staying in Chicago, being hired on as a full-time head coach, or moving on to a different situation. But if he is available as a defensive coordinator and Dom Capers is not returned for another year, I think it's definitely a good place to go for it. And, a lot of people want to point the entire finger at Dom Capers only as why they're struggling. The defense, but it's a lot of things, and Capers happens to be the guy in charge of the defense. But I think it's a combination of not having the personnel to run the defense that Capers wants to run, and two is Capers not adapting to the personnel that he has currently. And I think you got to bring somebody in there that can use the personnel to the best of their ability. They got a pretty decent foundation, in my opinion, with Kenny Clark and Mike Daniels up front, Blake Martinez, Nick Perry, Clay Matthews, Vince Beagle, outside linebackers. And as much as I know people are probably going to crucify me on this one, but Demarius Randall, Kevin King, Josh Jones, Morgan Burnett, and the secondary, I think they got a pretty good foundation of talent. They just need to find a coaching staff. I'm going to basically put the blame on the whole coaching staff. I would like to see the whole coaching staff gone. No one's really improved at any level except for a handful of players. So I would be open to a whole new coaching staff in general on the defensive side of the football for Green Bay. So that's what I would do with Capers. I'd let him go, let his coaching staff go, and start anew. I think you got the personnel already to either convert to a 4-3 with Daniels and Kenny Clark manning the defensive tackle positions, and then you got Nick Perry, who can play an outside linebacker in a 4-3. Defensive end in a 4-3. You got Blake Martinez can man the middle in a 4-3. Clay Matthews can be outside backer in a 4-3. Vince Beagle can be an outside in a 4-3. Really, you just got to find another defensive end option. Dean Lowry, more of a rotational guy. Find another defensive end option on the other side of Nick Perry, who can consistently get pressure on the quarterback. And then you already got the start of it at the secondary with Clinton Dix, Morgan Burnett if he returns, Marius Randall, and Kevin King. You just got to find another outside corner so you can try to keep Randall more in the slot as a rover position, which I've been talking about since they drafted him. That's his best position. So, with that, that's what I'll do if I'm Green Bay on the defensive side of the ball. I like the 3-4, but I think they got the personnel. They can stick with the 3-4, or they can go 4-3. So finding somebody, maybe Steve Spagnuolo, if he gets let go in New York, he's the interim coach now. I think he could do wonders with this defense. But basically, you've got to find a defensive coaching staff that can maximize the talent Green Bay already has on defense. So that's my thought there. So now moving on, Packers at 6-6 take on the winless Cleveland Browns at 0-12. I've been really thinking a lot about this game all week long. I know people are stating that the Packers should win easily, and if they don't, heads should roll. And I know others that are saying that don't be surprised if the Browns steal a victory here. And I'm leaning more and more on the don't be surprised if the Browns squeak out a victory here. But look at the Packers overall. They have injuries all over the place. Devon House is likely not going to play. Kevin King is on IR. He's out for the rest of the year. Ahmad Brooks seems to have been dealing with a back injury all season long. Demetrius Goodson, who they just brought up off the PUP list, is out likely with a hamstring injury, who they brought down to replace Kevin King on the roster. And they're going to be playing with the defensive secondary of Whitehead, Randall, Hawkins, Pipkins, and who knows what else. Brown, I believe, at the cornerback position, along with Clinton Dix, Morgan Burnett, and Josh Jones. So a lot of injuries in the defensive backfield. And unfortunately, the Browns don't throw the ball very well. Deshaun Kaiser has completed just 52% of his passes, thrown 15 interceptions and only 6 touchdowns, and been sacked 27 times. So fortunately, the Browns don't throw the ball very well. But now they got a deep threat in Josh Gordon. And that might have been the biggest reason why they haven't thrown the ball very well is Duke Johnson, a running back, is their leading receiver of 52 catches for 456 yards. Well, now they got Josh Gordon, who last week got 4 catches for 85 yards, averaging about 21.3 yards per catch. So they got that deep threat now, and the Packers banged up at corner. Who's going to be covering Josh Gordon? My guess is that Marius Randall will probably get the first crack at him. But as much as I like Randall, as much as he's been improved, I'm not a huge fan of him having to cover a number one receiver on an opposing offense. And that is what Josh Gordon is. He showed last week that, he didn't really miss a beat at all, serving his, 2-year suspension pretty much for marijuana use. Running-wise, I think the Packers match up decent. Isaiah Crowell is their leading rusher with 595 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. But the front 7 of Green Bay is going to have to play extremely well. And guys like Cairo Frackel and Vince Beagle are going to have to step up with a limited Nick Perry and possibly continue to be limited Ahmad Brooks. So those guys are going to have to step up. And Jake Ryan, I'm sure his playing is in the air with leaving game last week with a neck injury. So defensively for Green Bay, they shouldn't have their hands full against the Browns with all the injuries and Josh Gordon back. You don't really know. And, they're going to need big days from Randall, Daniels, Clay Matthews, and Clinton Dix. They're going to need big games from those guys. Martinez has been steady all year long. Randall's been playing significantly better, and now he's going to have a huge test. And Daniels, with Matthews dominating last week, now up to 6.5 sacks on the year, they're going to need some big plays from him. So if I'm Cleveland Browns, if I'm the head coach or a play caller, what I'm doing in this game is I'm running a lot of zone read, option read. You've got potentially Nick Perry not playing, very strong at setting the edge. Ahmad Brooks, pretty strong at setting the edge. He's banged up. So now you're basically have Clay Matthews, who's very reckless off the edge, doesn't secure the edge very well. Vince Beagle, a rookie, and Frackle, a third-year player, second-year player that doesn't have a ton of experience either, trying to secure that edge. And I think they could probably get away with running that zone read and look for them to go some home runs over the top to Josh Gordon. So if I'm Cleveland, that's what I'm doing offensively. I'm trying to take the top off the Packer defense, challenge them deep, and I'm doing some zone read stuff for the running game. Fortunately, as I said, the Browns quarterback, Kaiser, not very accurate, and there's a couple of times he targeted Gordon last Sunday where he overthrew him, and if he wouldn't have overthrew him, probably would have had more than 4 catches. I think he was targeted like 12 times. A lot of the times he just overthrew his guy. Now, Packers defensively, I would try to get pressure from the front seven. That's going to be key. Your secondary is banged up. You got to get a rookie quarterback like Kaiser uncomfortable. You got to send pressure from any which way, off the safety blitzes, corner blitzes, you name it. You got to get pressure on Kaiser. He can't turn the ball over. He will throw interceptions. He's got 15 on the year, and the Browns have turned the ball over 30 times on the season so far. So defensively, the Packers need to just get pressure on Kaiser, and he will make mistakes. In order to win this game, Packers are going to have to force at least 2 to 3 turnovers against the Browns. Because offensively, a lot of holes offensively. They found a running game with Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. I guess if you want to look at any bright side out of this season without Aaron Rodgers for a pretty good stretch of time, it seems like they found the running game finally. 2 pretty strong running backs in Williams and Jones. Hundley has just been a little inaccurate quite a bit. He's 126 of 206 for 1,269 yards, 5 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and he's been sacked 23 times. He's only averaging about 6.2 yards per attempt. Compare that with Aaron Rodgers, who's about, I believe it's 7.9 yards per attempt, which was kind of low for Rodgers career-wise. So offensively, if I'm Green Bay, the Browns don't have a lot of great players on their defense. They got some solid players, but really nothing great. They're led and tackled by former Wisconsin Badger Joe Sherbert. He got 113 total tackles. Myles Garrett, 5 sacks, is their leading defensive lineman, and then he's got those 5 sacks in just 7 games. And Jason McCourty has 3 interceptions on the year. So the Browns, one thing they do well is stop the run. The Browns are defensively 6th in the league stopping the run. Packers have been running the ball much better as of late, and I think the Packers need to stick with that, stick with the game plan. And unless the Browns stop you, run the ball. That's what they need to do. Run the ball unless the Browns really stop you. And I think the Browns are going to sell out, but I think the Packers, running-wise, need to involve Brett Hundley quite a bit in the running game. That overtime drive against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he did run some option read, where they did let Hundley use his feet a little bit to disrupt the defense. That's what they got to do against the Browns. This is possibly Hundley's last game as the starting quarterback. Let him turn loose running the ball. Zone read with Jones, zone read with Williams. That could open up some over-the-top stuff, too, to Devontae Adams. And offensively, Packers, that's what they need to do. If they want to beat the Browns, they got to open things up with some option read. I don't know why McCarthy's been so hesitant to really utilize it too much, utilize his quarterback strengths, which is his legs. But that's what he's going to have to do. And with the Jones and Williams' ability to break tackles and hit the open field, you can't really oversell on the quarterback, so you're going to have to oversell on the backs, and that could open up a few big holes for Hundley to dominate a little bit. But the Packers, to win this game, as I said, they got to force 2 to 3 turnovers, got to protect the football, confuse